everyone, welcome to Biosecrets. Today we will discuss motion chapter of class 9th physics. Let's start from what is motion. So motion refers to the change in the position of an object with respect to time and its surrounding. टाइम के रेस्पेक्ट में और सराउंडिंग के रेस्पेक्ट में अगर कोई ऑब्जेक्ट अपनी पोजीशन को चेंज करेगा तो हम कहेंगे कि वो ऑब्जेक्ट मोशन में है. ओके. Now an object is said to be in motion if it changes its position relative to a stationary object. जैसे कोई stationary object मतलब कि कोई ऑब्जेक्ट रुका हुआ है और उस रुके हुए ऑब्जेक्ट के कंपैरिजन में अगर किसी दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट ने अपनी पोजीशन को चेंज किया है तो हम कहेंगे कि रिलेटिव पोजीशन ऑब्जेक्ट की चेंज हुई है तो हम कहेंगे कि वो ऑब्जेक्ट मोशन में है. ओके. सो मोशन इज मोशन इज द चेंज इन पोजीशन ऑफ एन ऑब्जेक्ट. किसके रेस्पेक्ट में? टाइम के रेस्पेक्ट में और सराउंडिंग के रेस्पेक्ट में. नाउ एन ऑब्जेक्ट इज सेड टू बी इन मोशन इफ इट चेंजेस इट्स पोजीशन रिलेटिव टू अ स्टेशनरी ऑब्जेक्ट. जैसे कोई स्टेशनरी ऑब्जेक्ट मतलब कि कोई ऑब्जेक्ट रुका हुआ है और उस रुके हुए ऑब्जेक्ट के कंपैरिजन में अगर किसी दूसरे ऑब्जेक्ट ने अपनी पोजीशन को चेंज किया है तो हम कहेंगे कि रिलेटिव पोजीशन ऑब्जेक्ट की चेंज हुई है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, दिस इज अ ट्री एंड दिस इज अ कार. ओके. दिस कार इज मूविंग forward. Now after some time this will come at this place. Now after some time this car will be on this place. Okay. Let us suppose this is a tree or this is a car. After some time, after 1 hour, this car reach at this place. So in comparison to this tree, the position of the car changes. So we will say the relative motion, relative position of this car changes with respect to this tree. Okay. Now come to the second point, that is rest and motion. So what is rest and what is motion? When an object does not change its position with respect to its surrounding. जब कोई ऑब्जेक्ट सराउंडिंग के रेस्पेक्ट में अपनी पोजीशन को चेंज नहीं करता है तो हम कहते हैं कि ऑब्जेक्ट रेस्ट पोजीशन पर है, रेस्ट मोड पर है. What is motion? When an object changes its position with respect to time. जब कोई ऑब्जेक्ट टाइम के रेस्पेक्ट में या सराउंडिंग के रेस्पेक्ट में अपनी पोजीशन को चेंज करेगा तो तब हम कहेंगे कि ऑब्जेक्ट मोशन में है. Now what are the types of motion? So there are 3 types of motion. Number 1, rectilinear motion, circular motion and periodic motion. So what is rectilinear motion? A straight line motion. Example, a car on a straight road. Second is circular motion, motion along a circular path. For example, the motion of a fan blade. Next is periodic motion, motion repeated after a fixed interval. For example, motion of a pendulum. Next point, difference between rectilinear motion, circular motion and periodic motion. Rectilinear motion is a motion in a straight line. Example of rectilinear motion, a car moving on straight road. What is circular motion? Motion along a circular path. Example, blades of a fan. What is periodic motion? Repeated motion at regular interval. Example, pendulum of a clock. So this is the difference between rectilinear motion, circular motion and periodic motion. Next point is, what are scalar and vector quantities? So scalar quantities have only magnitude and vector quantities have both magnitude and direction. Example of a scalar quantity is distance and speed. Example of vector quantity is displacement and velocity. Now what is distance and displacement? So distance is the total path covered, and this is a scalar quantity. And displacement is the shortest path between the initial and final position, and displacement is a vector quantity. Now, what is the difference between scalar and vector quantities? Scalar quantities has only magnitude, but vector quantities has magnitude and direction both. Example of a scalar quantity, distance and speed. Example of vector quantity, displacement and velocity. Now, what is the difference between distance and displacement? So, distance is the total path covered, and displacement is the shortest path between initial and final position. Distance is a scalar quantity and displacement is a vector quantity. Distance is always positive, but displacement can be positive, negative or zero. Distance, example of distance is 5-kilometer walk. Okay, 5-kilometer walk is an example of distance. An example of displacement is 3 kilometer directly north. यहाँ पर देखिए डायरेक्शन भी गिवन है मैग्नीट्यूड के साथ. Okay. Next point, what is speed and velocity? So speed, scalar quantity. Speed formula, distance upon time. Velocity, vector quantity. Formula of velocity is displacement upon time. Types of speed and velocity: uniform speed and non-uniform speed. Okay. In case of uniform speed, speed is constant, or we can say uniform velocity, velocity is constant. In case of non-uniform speed or non-uniform velocity, velocity and speed both are varying, not constant. What is the difference between speed and velocity? Speed, distance upon time. Velocity, displacement upon time. Speed is a scalar quantity. Velocity is a vector quantity. Speed has only magnitude. Velocity has magnitude and direction both. Example of speed is 60 km per hour and example of velocity is 60 km per hour towards the north. Now, what is acceleration? Acceleration is change in velocity per unit time. Okay, acceleration is denoted by small a. It is change in velocity, means final velocity minus initial velocity. V minus u upon time. V is final velocity, u is initial velocity and t is time. Now, positive acceleration and negative acceleration. So, in case of positive acceleration, speed increases, and in case of negative acceleration, which is also called deceleration, speed decreases. Acceleration, the rate of change of velocity with time. Formula of acceleration is a is equals to v minus u upon t, where v is final velocity, u is initial velocity and t is time. Now, what is the difference between positive acceleration and negative acceleration? That is deceleration. So, in case of positive acceleration, velocity increases. In case of negative acceleration, velocity decreases. Graphical representation of motion. Distance time graph, slope is, देखिए जो डिस्टेंस टाइम ग्राफ का स्लोप होगा वो हमें स्पीड बताएगा, और अगर डिस्टेंस टाइम ग्राफ स्ट्रेट लाइन में शो होगा तो यूनिफॉर्म स्पीड को शो करेगा, और अगर डिस्टेंस टाइम ग्राफ कर्व्ड लाइन में होगा तो स्पीड कैसी होगी? नॉन यूनिफॉर्म. नाउ कम टू वेलोसिटी टाइम ग्राफ. स्लोप ऑफ वेलोसिटी टाइम ग्राफ गिव्स एक्सेलरेशन and area under the velocity time graph curve, it gives displacement. Slope of velocity time graph will give acceleration. Area under the velocity time curve gives displacement. The slope of a distance time graph gives speed. Slope of a velocity time graph gives acceleration. The area under the velocity time graph gives displacement. Now come to equations of motion for uniform acceleration. These are three equations of motion for uniform acceleration. V is equals to u plus at S is equals to ut plus half at square, and third equation of motion is v square is equals to u square plus 2as. Here v is final velocity, u is initial velocity, a is acceleration, t is time, and s is displacement. Now come to uniform circular motion. Motion along a circular path at constant speed. सर्कुलर पाथ पर जो मोशन होगा कांस्टेंट स्पीड से, दैट इज कॉल्ड यूनिफॉर्म सर्कुलर मोशन. द वेलोसिटी कीप्स चेंजिंग ड्यू टू अ कंटिन्यूअस चेंज इन डायरेक्शन. देखिए जब कोई मोशन कर रहा है सर्कुलर, देखिए जब कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट सर्कुलर पाथ पे मूव करता है तो उसकी डायरेक्शन हमेशा चेंज होती रहती है. जब वो ऑब्जेक्ट यहाँ पर मूव करेगा तो उसकी डायरेक्शन इस डायरेक्शन में होगी. अगर ऑब्जेक्ट यहाँ मूव करेगा, है ना, इस साइड में आ जाएगा, जब ये यहाँ पर, तो इसकी डायरेक्शन इधर हो जाएगी. तो इस तरीके से डायरेक्शन हमेशा चेंज होती रहती है यूनिफॉर्म सर्कुलर मोशन में. स्पीड यहाँ कांस्टेंट रहती है. ठीक है. सो बिकॉज डायरेक्शन चेंजेस कंटिन्यूअसली, सो वेलोसिटी ऑल्सो चेंजेस, because velocity has magnitude as well as direction, and speed has only magnitude, so magnitude will not change here, so speed is constant. But because direction is changing continuously, so velocity keeps changing continuously. So in case of uniform circular motion along a circular path at constant speed, this you have to remember. The velocity keeps changing due to a continuous change in direction. Example of uniform circular motion: Earth revolve around the sun is an example of uniform circular motion. In such type of quick revision videos, we will cover your complete syllabus. If my video is helpful for you, then please like, share and subscribe this channel. Thank you so much.